Hey, How To Heaven viewers. So today what we're working on is a 2021 Toyota, if I could say that right, Toyota Hatchback. And what we're doing is we're going to do a quick, cheap mod. We're also going to remove the muffler. We're going to fabricate a exhaust pipe to connect it to the factory exhaust pipe, making it sound better, but also making it fully reversible. So the idea here is that we're going to make this mod and it's going to be totally reversible. So stay tuned to How To Heaven. So we got to take off this. Hi. We got to take this off in order to wrap it. Our plan is we're going to hide this, not remove it, but we're going to make it look like it's not there, because our exhaust tips are going to come out below. It's going to be an exhaust, it's going to look like dual exhaust, which it will be because it's going to be split from the factory exhaust. So in order to remove these Garnish fake exhaust looking things, there's a clip here, and then on the inside there is a white clip, and then it just unsnaps. So let me show you that. I'll get to that in a minute here. So this is from the driver's side, and this right here are those clips that go underneath. And let me see. So the clip is this clip right here, and it snaps in here. And what you do is you have to pry this down. You use a couple of screwdrivers and pry it from each side. You'll get it to about that point. And then we use a panel trim remover to go in underneath this and then just pull this out. Because you're not going to take this piece out all the way. It's just to relieve the pressure on this, and it comes out. Then there is a white plastic retainer that goes through here like that, and it snaps in. And all you do is you're going to push this little lever piece like that, and then you remove that. And then there's a couple other snaps right there, and I'll show you those in a second. All right, so here is the Garnish, the fake exhaust Garnish, and it actually goes right up here like that. You can see that where the holes line up. But what you're seeing is at the top there is some plastic pieces, and there are these chrome things right there. And what they do is you just relieve the pressure. All right, so here's the Garnish, the fake exhaust Garnish, and what you have is 3 clips, these chrome clips, one here, and then you've got one here, and then one on the end here by my pinkies, one here, and one at the very end. Now, those pieces will protrude through right up here, and you can see that clip right there. There's another clip over there and one over there. And you can use a screwdriver, or probably just your fingers, and you just relieve the pressure and push that out. All right, so here's what we got. We got our dual tips. We got some 2.5 inch, they're elbows. I mean, you know, we don't have to worry about restrictions because this isn't coming out of a header or anything, and it's a lot less restrictive than the muffler. What we're gonna do is we're gonna notch this right here, these 2 pipes where they come together. We'll notch them, and then we're gonna put this pipe in and weld this up, cut it to length. All right, so we're gonna remove the exhaust hangers now. That's just a little soapy water solution and a pair of pliers to squeeze it out. And that's what we're doing. That's the next step in the process. It's not that easy either. And we might switch to silicone. Cut. All right, so squish it again. All right, there you go. So now we're gonna go to the other side, do the same thing, and there's a 3rd hanger up towards the front, but we don't need to bore you with that. So here's the passenger side, spray it with some soapy water. Gonna use the pliers. It's a tight squeeze in there, I gotta tell you. But, you know, we're gonna squeeze it. And just get it over that little nib right there. And so you're just going to work that thing free. And then there's one more in the front. And once you do that,
there we go.
There we go. All right, so we got another one here, mid-pipe one right there. Now there is one over there, but we already loosened that one up a while back. There we go. Now they're loose. So now we're going to remove the pipe, and I'm going to hold it. All right. So where do you want me?
You just hold it like right here.
Got it. Now remember, the front's going to drop when you get that one off. Okay, there we go.
Is it heavy?
I'll switch with you. I'll go to the front. Okay, you got this side. Okay. All right, so I'm guessing this is probably about
Oh my God, this
18 pounds. All right, let's go take it out. Set it down. Factory hatchback exhaust pipe. So right here you got a donut, and these are, I think they're 17 millimeter bolts with springs on them. And then you've got a hanger here, and 14 millimeter, sorry. Then you've got an intermediate hanger there. You got one on this side, and then finally one over there. And what we're going to do is we will fabricate the two hangers we got on Amazon. We're going to put one on this side, one on that side, with a bar going across here somewhere, and we'll weld it to the pipes to hold it up. But things are progressing really quickly. So here we are with the modified exhaust on the hatchback, and this is just one exhaust tip. We're putting dual tips on. So here's another tip. When you're cutting your pipe, or welding your pipe I should say, what you do is you're going to put your pipe here like this, and then you'll notice that I made these little marks, and the marks line up with those two little dots there. But you want to do that, and that kind of centers. One line isn't the same as two when it comes to alignment. So you put two lines side by side. That really hones your area in, so it makes it so much more accurate than a single line. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this and then this. Now when it comes to welding, I line up those two lines right there, and it gives me a much better representation of where I need to weld. We're going to tack these in place on both tips. That will allow me to get a better cut. And this was cut on the bandsaw, but for the final cuts I'm going to use a 4.5 inch grinder with a metal cutting wheel. So here we are over at my MIG welding station, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these two up here, hold it with my hand, and just do a single tack, and then I'll go around and tack it some more, and that will keep this in place. And then I'll do the same thing to the other side, and then I can trim it more accurately. I don't have a welding screen lens or anything like that, so I don't know how it's going to come out, but we're going for it. Get your torch, power on the welder, line up your hashtags. Clearly show you. So I'm going to put two more tacks on it. 3 tacks should hold it. That'll let me measure and cut. stabilize the part. And that should do. Here's the other side. Here we go. Slight gap right there. Where are we? Right there, slight gap. Less than a 30-second. It should be fine. We'll TIG weld this in the end. But right now, this should give me enough to work with as far as doing the alignment and welding. Cutting. So here's a practice tip for you when you're doing all this welding and grinding to your nice stainless exhaust tips. What you want to do is you want to wrap them and keep them protected. And that's what we're working on right now. We're going to take some masking tape. We're going to take those bubble wrap packages and put them around the exhaust tips so we don't scratch them up while we're cutting and grinding. So here's the setup. Got my welder and we're welding those carts. Let me shut this. Okay. So we're welding the pipe. Now, because this is exhaust pipe, it doesn't have to be pretty, but it does have to be completely sealed. So what I want to show you is the gap. Do you see the gap right there? That's a pretty large gap to fill. And the way you do it with a MIG welder is you're going to weld on one side, hit it for a second, do a second on this side, and then do one in the middle. And you just keep going there because you're trying to get like a C-shaped thing. You don't want to hold the MIG welder on all the time because it'll get so hot you'll blow holes in it. So you hit it, it'll glow bright orange, wait for it to cool down, turn dark, then you hit it again, bright orange, turns dark, and you just keep doing that. You're going to build this up and we're going to connect it all the way over there. Now the weld will be strong enough and the weld will seal the exhaust pipe, and that's what we're after. So far this is what our exhaust system looks like, and we're going to TIG weld this portion right here on these pipes to give it a much nicer looking weld. Although it's not necessary, if you only have a MIG, then you MIG weld it. I wouldn't recommend an arc welder because we're working with relatively thin metal. But that's what we're doing so far. So let me show you the back view. That's what you're going to be looking at when you get past. So I'm going to take you back around the rear of the hatchback to show you what's going on. Now, this factory muffler has this hanger here and this hanger here. One thing you'll notice is they are not in line. You see, they're definitely not in line right here between that one and that one. So what I did was, with our new muffler hanger bracket, I came in the rear side on this one, but on this one I came in the front side, and that actually evens this out so it's a straight shot across. So we're going to get a bar and weld it from here to here, and then we're going to hang our pipe off of that. It will connect to the factory muffler over here, and let me show you that right now. I said factory muffler, I meant factory pipe. So here's your muffler, and it's pretty large. My foot is roughly a foot, so that's about a foot. So you can see the staggered mounts. There's one, and then there's the other right over there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this exhaust right here, and we're going to cut it right here. That's stainless pipe, by the way. We're going to cut it right here somewhere before the bend. And this is going to be the attachment point for our new rear exiting exhaust tips. So we're going to get rid of all that weight, and that's what is coming up next. So we're going to have to rehang this, and there's one of those hangers there and there. You can spray soapy water on them or WD-40. I prefer soapy water. I don't like to get rubber components oily because that deteriorates them, but it's not going to be a big deal anyway you cut it. All right, we've got the factory muffler cut off. Factory muffler was right here, and that old mess is gone. So this is what we're left with. We're going to hang this up, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to measure from here to here, so we can get the exit for the pipe and the length. And then once we get that determined, then we're going to finish off with these brackets here to suspend our new exhaust system. So we're going to bolt that baby in right now and then slip the hangers right there and right there. So here we have the pipe. These are the muffler pipes. You can see we cut this hole out and there's a V in there so the gases will expand and go left and right. We have our intermediate pipe right here, intermediary pipe. This is the wrong one. Here is the correct one. It's going to go in here like that. We'll do some welding around there, and you notice the notches that we put in this? Well, these notches here are to allow us to slip it over the factory exhaust pipe, use a band clamp, thusly, and then it'll take up the play. We may also end up using a shim around here to make up for it. Because this is 43 millimeters, and American uses 1.75, which was too small, and 2-inch, which is this band clamp, which is too large, that's why we decided to use the pipe that is swaged at the other end. You can see how it goes up right here, and that's to take up some of this room. And the slots there are so that it allows the clamp to close down on this. Now we may end up putting a couple more slots on here, and we also may end up, like I said, we're going to use a piece of shim stock metal around that in between the band clamp. But we're still mocking it up right now. So we'll slide this over, and you can see it's a relatively tight fit for now. And then we throw the exhaust tips on. All right, so here's our pipe, and this is going to slip over that pipe like that. And this is what our exhaust is going to look like. And this is the stick out right here, so it's almost factory. If we wanted to, we could also move this out. We have over 1 inch of play. We could come out as far as that, or even more if we were to pull this pipe out. But I don't think that's necessary. We want a nice clean factory look, so we kind of want to end this just a little bit beyond the lower balance or valence or whatever they call that. So next up, we're going to be working on the hanger. And because there's two hangers, there's one here and one on the other side, we're going to make this rod connect to the other rod, come down across here, and that is going to give us our hanger. So it's looking actually pretty good. Now it's hanging on the hangers, sticking down kind of low. But we are just at the mock-up stage. So we have another small obstacle, hurdle. The pipe, as you can see right here, is off center. Here's the center of the car. And so what we need to do is we need to bring this pipe over here. And we measured it, it's about 1 3/8 of an inch. So when we measure from this center of this circle here, which I'm assuming is the center of the car, over to this exhaust pipe, we're about 1 3/4 of an inch to the passenger side to the right. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bring this pipe over, and the way we'll do it is we're going to cut this pipe here, and we're going to insert a small section of pipe that will effectively move this piece over. And so that's our next area that we're going to work on. We're going to undo the bolts over there, take the hangers off, cut this pipe, and add 1 3/4 inch pipe to that. So I'm going to explain very quickly what we're doing. This pipe is not in the center of the car. If the center of the car is over here, we need to move this pipe 1 3/4 roughly inches. So we're going to cut this pipe here, and we're going to add to it. We're going to cut a section out of this, and we're going to add to it. Now the reason I did these lines is because this is an angle, and when we go to weld this back together again, if I don't have these lines to guide me, then I could, theoretically, I could get this in the wrong position, and so we weld it, and this pipe could end up facing up or down in the wrong orientation. So these are just alignment lines. Now I'm going to cut a piece here. I don't know how long yet because we have to measure it. We can either do it mathematically or we can do it by eye. This is about a 45-degree angle here. right here. If you were to look at this angle versus a perpendicular, and then, so you have the height of your triangle, the base of your triangle, and the hypotenuse. And because we're going at a 45-degree angle, what we want to do is we want to extend the base out 1 3/4 of an inch. So the question is, how much do we add to the hypotenuse to get 1 3/4 of an inch from the height? Because we're going to move the height 1 3/4 of an inch that way. So all that math that they teach you in school, it is possible in later years to use that. However, the alternative is to just cut it, eye it, and weld it. Not sure which we're doing. Take a guess. Here we have the piece of exhaust pipe that we cut off. Those are our little lines. And now we have the pipe that we're going to add. And we tried the old triangle method, came up with 2 different results. Because the pipe is bent and it's hard to measure, we've decided to do it the old-fashioned way, mock it up and measure. So what we're doing now is we're welding, and we're TIG welding this together. We had a problem with our gas earlier, and that's why this looks so bad, but it's effective, but it's crude. But here's the TIG welding. It's a much better look. You don't need to do this. If you've got MIG, you can do the whole thing with a MIG welder. You don't need a TIG welder. Let me just show you where we're at now. We've got to tighten this sleeve here, this band clamp. This is the piece that we had to add in order to get the pipe centered. And here is our exhaust. Now this hanger here is where the original muffler hung from, and we just welded this rod together, and it's welded to the top of this in order to keep this stabilized. So that's where we're at now. We're gonna have to tighten this band clamp here and see if we can finish it off. That's the last of it, and then we'll bring it down and show you how it sounds. Go. All right, first startup.
I did it wrong, hold on. That's pretty cool. That's
What do you
crazy.
think?
Hold on a second. This is crazy. Oh, I forgot it. So
All right, I'm gonna go to the back and you can flip it. Okay.
hold on, I wanna get one of that too. Can you do it?
You should see it. It hops.
Does it?
Yeah. Ready?
Yep. That's so crazy. it's leaking water a little bit, but
That's what happens.
to be expected. Where is it leaking from?
Condensation.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy.